We are in Parashat Mishpatim, and it's a fantastic parasha, which is a little bit different than the previous parashot that we had, because it does not continue dealing and telling us the story of coming out of Egypt, but rather really gives us a specific and a description of different laws that became the basis for Jewish law, and to a certain extent even almost universal law, because a lot of the laws in many countries is based on the Judeo-Christian, which is really Judeo law system. But nevertheless, this is the case that we have here. The parasha is all of a sudden, out of the blue, comes and tells us what happened, in terms of the laws. In this parasha, we can find the basis for what we call dinei nezikim, damages, in Hebrew, judicial system, which counts, of course, what we call the Arba'at Avot HaNezikim, the four major branches or categories for different types of damages, which is the shor, the ox, the boar, pet, hameva'eh. In other words, is something that is secondary to me or is a derivative of me, whether it's a person or through some other apparatus that went in and causes damage, ve'hav'ara, which is a fire. Now, it's very important to pay attention to those things specifically because they really have to do with the spiritual aspect of what we're trying to talk about this week's parasha. So again, we have the dinei nezikim, which is the shor, the ox, animal, a boar, a pit, and a derivative that causes damage, and damages that are being caused by fire. And it says in the pasuk, "V'chiftach ish bor," if a person will dig up a boar and would not cover it, "V'nafal shama," and he fell there, shor or chamor, a donkey or an ox and a donkey, Baal habor yeshalem, the one who dug the pit or the hole, he should pay the damages. And those laws in the beginning look to us as very basic laws for running any kind of organized and normal functioning society. And anyway, in this parasha, we have many expressions that are a little bit uncomfortable to us. And we say eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth and whatever and so on and so forth. Or, for example, the laws of a Jewish slave and anything else that comes with this. Of course, we have to understand that not we promote slavery, but rather to tell us that even slaves have certain rights and don't treat them like as subhumans, or sometimes even worse than that, but they are people just like any other person with rights and obligations and so on and so forth. And of course, we have to understand the historical content of when those laws were given, where slavery was the fuel of the economy. So to make sure that people don't get exploited, the Torah comes and gives us certain rules for that. The Zohar tells us that the purpose of Parashat Mishpatim, of our parasha, is really to tell us the secret of the laws of the rules in which the universe is really operating. Basically, that there is a reason and there is for anything to happen, and there is an entity, aka God, that causes everything to happen. And it's not an issue of karma, as they would say in different religions, but rather a reconnection of a relationship that something happened and it broke. And the laws, for example, if we want to talk about the laws of slavery, are explained by the Zohar as the slavery of the soul to the body, its senses, and its urges. And each one of those four different categories of damages on which we accounted for before really represents a certain or a certain dark aspects in the soul of the human and his personality that we could battle, or work against, and really turn it into a positive thing rather than become a victim of that dark matter inside of us, a dark aspect inside of us. And if we talk about shor, which is a representation, maybe we'll talk about it later, boar, something that you drop yourself in, and so on and so forth. However, Jewish judicial system is a little different than what we have today in the courts, and it really understands that a person that did an action and causes damage to its society because of certain internal imbalance that he experienced. If you do something to society, to harm society, that means that something inside of you, in your existence, is lacking. Something is not balanced. And therefore, as a result of that, the job or the duty of the Jewish court in olden days, not the way it is today in Israel and so on and so forth, is really to decide on necessary actions that needs to be done in order to rebalance the neshama, the soul of that particular person who did the avera, who made the sin, and as a cause of that caused damages to other people. So comes Beit Din and says we have to do A, B, and C in order to punish so-called the person and to recreate the balance that was lost that caused him to do those bad actions, which is a very interesting and deep idea. And this is really the purpose, if we're going to say, of this parasha, of this Torah portion. It's all about balances. How to create balances, how to re-establish balance. So if we're going to talk about the the Ten Commandments, who are brought to us in a certain way again in our parasha, we served it last time, but this one it tells us other things as well. The greatness is of those words, of those sentences, of those verses, is in the change in concept from a point of view where the laws that we have are societal laws, to a concept where the laws that we have are really spiritual / universal laws, that the purpose that we have by them is really to reconnect us with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to connect us back to the Torah, and to reconnect us with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that would stem from Him and from His Torah. And when we cause damage, when we are damaging our society, our environment, our people around us, what happens is we disconnect and we go further distance away from the abundance of creation itself. In other words, when the abundance comes, we become the pipe, and if we are a pipe that causes the damage, we need to fix that. But when we cause that, when we cause suffering and when we cause damage to other people, we are disconnected from that pipe that abundance came through, and that in a way we are connected ourselves also to suffering and to pain, and at the end of that suffering that we cause other people is coming back to us in different ways, because that's the punishment is going to be this world and the other world and so on and so on. In other words, you can't get away with in life without paying a price for something that you do or you don't do, to that matter. In other words, everything has a price. Everything is a price. You can't just do things and expect that there's going to be somebody will turn the cheek or somebody will close his eyes and you're going to be able to get away with everything. Because we do say, Ain ro'ah, what we say? The eye sees, the ear hears, and all your actions have been written in the book. So even if you did something that nobody really could see, don't worry. God has His own cheshbon, His own calculation, and everything that you did, good or bad, there's going to be a price. There's going to be a price that either you're going to pay or going to be a prize in which you're going to receive. And you have to remember that. You can't just go ahead and become a menace, just creating chaos in people's life and think that you're going to get away with it. Our perspective is very short. We see things from a very short perspective. We are like horses that you put this thing on the side and all they see is themselves in the path that they go. They don't see the whole entire view. They don't see the whole entire prism and the perspective of life as it is. But you would pay for everything you do. I don't like when certain rabbis, it became a thing now, to say, don't worry about it. There's no such thing as hell. There's no such thing as punishment. It's all kumbaya. It's all good. Soon they're going to give lectures for rabbis. They're going to take little joints and they're going to smoke it in the nargilas and the hookahs. It doesn't work like that. When you mess up, when you don't do what you do, you are going to pay for it. If I will come and just like break your car or ram into your car or smack something into your car, what will happen? Do you expect me to say, oh, I'm sorry guy, that's okay, don't worry about it? No, you're going to say, listen, you did damages. I'm not going to beat you up, but you got to pay for what you did. When we sin, we cause damage in the world. So therefore, to believe that you can get away with it, and most of the times those rabbis, and I'm really tired of this, tell this to the people because they want to get a little like on their thing. They want to get some brownie points. They want to become a celebrity. So you know what? If you're so interested in marks and celebrities, don't be a rabbi. Go do some reality shows or whatever it is. But you, as a rabbi, must tell the people the truth. And the truth is, you will pay for everything you did and didn't do when you should have. And you have to remember this. Because there is a purpose to this creation. And we should live our life through a purpose. We don't just do things. Why do you do this? I don't know. I just felt like it. There's no such thing. If you think that this is how the world runs, you're a fool. It doesn't run like that. So the fundamental belief of Judaism is really the unity of God. That God is one and so on and so forth. In other words, that there is one God that never changes and He's endless and He is Ein Sof. He's endless. And since He's everything that God, all of a sudden came out of the woodwork like little cockroaches. Where you guys been? So since HaKadosh Baruch Hu really, everything was done in order to make His creation good and to benefit His creation, therefore, that the cause of suffering in this world, the reason of suffering in this world, comes from one place and one place only, which is the disconnect from you from God. He is the source of everything that comes to you. When you disconnect from Him, when you break away from God, that's going to be your suffering, and you're going to be disconnected from His good, and it's going to be hard. For example, if you are breathing, God allows you to breathe. Don't think that you have the right to breathe. He allows you to breathe. And if you're going to get, for example, asthma, and God will say, you know what, you've been breathing a little too much and spending your precious air on nonsense, I'm going to make you suffer a little bit. Well, that's causes suffering in all aspects. Whether you're going to get nebulizers or steroids or whatever it is. And that is a result of something that you did to disconnect, that you disconnected from the unity of God and His goodness. And that's what happens. So that's what it is. And if a person, for example, dies in misery and is like a miserable person, it means that the purpose of HaKadosh Baruch Hu was not executed. And the purpose of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to do good for you. And if you suffered, it's most likely that there is a disconnect. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not want. Now, there are some people who would like to take this, everybody's coming late today, who would like people to say, oh, this is the reason behind reincarnations. I myself don't believe in reincarnations. The only thing I believe is in God Himself. Okay? I don't believe in that stuff. However, unto understanding of that is that something good was happened and we stopped it, and now we can only get it back, if not through reincarnation, is through the process of repentance, through the process of tshuva. Those of you who came late will have to do 50 push-ups. Now, no, by the way, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain to you something. If you got to be here at 8 o'clock, got to be here at 8 o'clock. We're going to start at 8 o'clock because guess what? If Mashiach will come, you'll miss the train. Right, Pinocchio? All right. So now, so the issue of tshuva. One second. The issue of tshuva is as follows. Questions at the end. The issue of tshuva is as follows. Coming back, when I realized that I messed up, and I realized that disconnect that I had with God, is bad for me. When I'm coming back, I'm reinitiating that closeness that I have towards our Ribono Shel Olam. That's the whole purpose of tshuva. When I'm coming back to that, that He's going to come back from His destructive ways that brought damage or caused suffering to Him and to the people around Him. If a person did an avera, you don't just do an avera out there to yourself all by yourself. You cause damage to the people around you, to the environment around you, as we saw in Dora Mabul. When they sinned, they affected the whole creation itself. Then, the whole environment was infected by their actions. And this is the same thing as, for example, if a person has a certain illness in a limb. If you're not going to take care of that particular limb that it's bad, that's going to affect your whole entire body. If you have a cut in the finger and you haven't taken care of it, you might get an infection, and then it's going to affect the whole entire body. You can get blood poisoning and who knows what. And needless to say, if you have other types of diseases and or blemishes in your body, I don't know, later you have a little bit of a gangrene in your finger, and all of a sudden it spreads all over your body and you die. You got to take care of it. Now, there's ways to take care of it. You got to take care of it in the beginning, in the very beginning when things just happen, so the measures are not going to be so severe. But however, if you neglect it and it becomes very severe, guess what you got to do? You got to cut off this limb, otherwise the whole body gets infected. And that's terrible. Now, if we're going to talk about what we talked about before, and among other things, it's talking in this parasha that we have, Parashat Mishpatim, for example, that causes damage to the body, is not keeping Shabbat. In this parasha, it says we have the obligation of Shvita b'Shabbat, of sitting down and resting on Shabbat, to that matter. And it says in the parasha, in Perek Chav Gimel, Pasuk Yud Bet, Sheshet Yamim Ta'aseh Ma'asecha. 6 days you'll do whatever you want. Uvayom Hashbi'i, on the seventh day, Tishbot, you should rest. Why? Why you should rest? It doesn't say Zecher L'Maseh Bereshit, it doesn't say Yetziat Mitzrayim, it doesn't say all these things. But it does tell us why I should do Shvita. And the reason for Shvita is Leman, in order for Yanuach Shorcha, that your ox will rest, V'chamorcha, and your donkey, again, remember the ox that we're talking about, the ox? That brings you down here too. And your fellow human being would rest, and also the ger. The ger is not just a convert. The ger, because a convert is a Jew, to that matter, just like a Jew. Here we're talking about our resident alien that is with us. So the question is like this. This is the question. Wait, 1 second. I should rest on Shabbat because of what? What did you say I should rest for? So my ox would rest, and my donkey would rest, and my resident alien would rest. That doesn't make sense. 1 second. How about me? I should not rest on Shabbat. And the only rest, HaKadosh Baruch Hu cares about my donkey more than he cares about me. I mean, it does not make sense. However, if you're going to read this pasuk more than once, and if you're going to take a different approach to the pasuk, that is a little bit more of a spiritual approach to the pasuk, you'll understand something completely different. And the thing is like this. Most of us, as they say, we work like donkeys. We work like dogs. We work hard all week long. We work hard. And we work hard, and we get tired, and so on and so forth. And we carry the burden of everything upon us, like the ox that we say that we do. And many of us also feel completely foreign and alien and unhappy about most of the things that we do, most of the day, most of the time. If you're going to ask 90% of the people, most of them are not happy with what they do. Now, if we work so hard, we get tired. However, there's some people that seems to be going forever and ever and ever, and they're not tired. You should know that the cause for this tiredness is not necessarily the hard work that you do, or the amount of hours that you work, or the work conditions that you do. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. One should know that most of us are running in this battlefield of what we call life, on and on and on, and we do what we do, whether it's your career, whether it's being a parent. We work so hard, and most of the time in order to get somebody else's approval, in order to prove something to someone. We're not doing so because we feel an internal motivation to do so. We're doing so because we need to prove something. It's like we need to get a medal, some kind of a prize, Parent of the Year award, when you know that what you're doing. And I know many cases like this of parents that thought that they are doing the right thing for the kids, not because, and they knew that it's the wrong thing for the kids, but the only reason they did so because they felt that now it's my turn to get the reward of the mother of the year, of the father of the year, to sacrifice everything, really not for the benefit of the kids, just for that. So people would say, oh, he's a hard worker, he works, he kills himself for his children. Not because that's what the kids need, and that's not exactly what he needs, but to get some kind of a recognition from something like that. And something like that, or someone that does it like this, guess what? Gets very tired. That's very tiresome. That's a person that does it is not really the owner. He's not the balabait. He's not the balabait. He's not the owner. He's not the boss. But rather than being the boss of his life like this, because he's not doing it for himself, if you know what a boss is a little different. He's doing so in a different manner. He is the donkey. He is the donkey that thinks that if he's going to work very, very hard, only then he's going to get appreciated. Because again, he's doing it for other people. He doesn't do it for himself. People turn work into their idol. I'm not saying you should sit and do absolutely nothing. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to work, do it for the right reason. Therefore, you should pick the job that is good for you, not what your daddy wants you to do, or your mommy wants you to do, or your guidance counselor wants you to do. What you want to do, what you know that you should be doing. You don't go to school, you don't go to medical school so your mommy can say, my son is a doctor. That's why we have such horrible doctors. But the good doctors, and there are very good, amazing doctors, I met few of them like this, are tremendous doctors, and I'm going to tell you, there's some, they're just amazing. But they are amazing, not because they're smart or smarter than the other ones, because they did it, they became doctors because they wanted to become doctors. A doctor that didn't want to become a doctor, but became a doctor, he's a horrible doctor because he can't wait to get the heck out of there. He wants to go home, he doesn't want to hear the people anymore. And yet somebody like this, there's no hours in the day. He can work all day long. He can work until job, and he loves it. And he comes to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he is like a tiger. He's like smiling, and he's always nice. I met people like this. That's not all doctors, but some of them. Just like anybody else. A lawyer or a teacher. Teachers are horrific. Many people became teachers because they just couldn't find anything better to do. And that's why one of the reasons why education looks the way it is. Listen, I know what it is. Now, we are the ox who thinks that the whole entire burden of the world is on him. Why? Because he is the korban. He was born to suffer. He was born to carry the whole thing. He's like the martyr who does like this. He does everything in the house. He paints, he cooks, he does everything. If he could, the man will give birth also. And there's some people who are the ox. They think the whole world is on their shoulders. Guess what? The world is not on your shoulders. You're going to pass from this world, and the world is still going to be going, and don't worry about it. You're not Atlas is holding the world like this up like that. And if you do think so, therefore there's no wonder why you feel so strange to yourself, don't you? You feel like a nochri. You feel like an alien, like a resident. You don't feel like a boss. Because you are alien to your real needs, you are foreign to your spiritual needs. And that's a very, very big thing, because nobody teaches you to do so. So comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu and it tells you the following. Go free from inside of you, from within you, the donkey, the ox. Let them rest. Put them to the side for one day. Stay at home alone with your neshama, with the balabas, with the Rebbetzin, the real Rebbetzin, the real boss of the house. Get to know each other. Maybe you'll find something terrific. You reignite the love that was there. Just like parents, the kids are always busy with the kids. They never had time for themselves. All of a sudden, all the kids went to buy ice cream. And they find each other. They actually realize, I forgot what I married you all together. And that's what we need to do. Come to Shabbat and say to you, get in touch with your neshama again. And that is the problem. The suffering that we do because we go after the ta'ava, after the yetzer, after our insecurity, when we make decisions out of fear, not out of passion. And we become slaves, just like the slave that there is in this parasha that doesn't want to become free. And the question is, of course, why? What's the story of a Jewish slave is a fascinating story. Because we punish him only after 6 years of slavery when he comes to the conclusion that he doesn't want to be free. He wants to be a slave of a man, of a human. So then what do? We get his ear, we put it in the door, we slash his ear like that. And his punishment, therefore, it seems to be, is not for the act that he stole or the fact that he became a slave, but rather for the fact that he doesn't want to become free. You never thought about it this way. You always thought that we put it like this because he's a slave. But we'll see that it's not really like this. And of course that the reason that Eved Nirtza, we call the slave with the thing in his ear, he gets punished only after 6 years, because we says Ozen sheshama be'ar Sinai lo tignov, and here the herd in Sinai don't steal, right? Halach haganav, and he went and became a thief. So therefore tiratza, that ear that herd don't steal. Cut it, So therefore, the question should be like this. Any person that violated a mitzvah that was given in Har Sinai should have his ear. If a person murdered, or a person went with his best friend's wife, or a person who's mechalel Shabbat, or anything that you heard in Sinai, or any other mitzvah, everybody should have slashed ears here. But the answer is not like that. So why Dafka this Eved? Right? Because he went to become free, came the master, and he says, listen, buddy, you want to go free? 6 years, you want to go free? He said, I don't know. I don't really repent the fact that I stole. And I really, guess what? I like my wife. I like the slave wife that you gave me. I like this lifestyle. I don't want to make decisions. Because when you're free, you have to make decisions. I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to pray to God to give me food. I don't want to pray to God to help me do what I need to do. I got my boss, let him worry about it. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to have my siesta every single day. I'm protected by the laws of the Torah. Whatever the master eats, I eat. Everything's good. Socialism, my friend. Yeah, where's Bernie when you need him? I guess Bernie didn't learn the 10 Commandments. Wait, let them work for me. I don't need to worry about this. So it says to us that what he stole in the beginning wasn't because he was hungry and he didn't have food, or he was, financially distressed, but rather from the will to become a slave, because he knew that when he's going to steal, he's going to become a slave. If a person stole because he was poor, and then he worked for 6 years because he stole afterwards, but he paid what he stole. Now he says, listen, Nimasli, I'm tired of this. I didn't steal because I like to steal, because this is the life I wanted. That's not what he did. He stole because he didn't have anything to eat. So a person, we can't blame him. A person did not have, he sold himself to slavery. He's not going to get punished for that, but he wants to be free. All he wants to do is to become free. Here, this person, by the fact that he says, I want to stay here, means that even his stealing, lechatchila, to begin with, was the sake of becoming a slave. And for that, guess what? You're going to be staying slave forever. And I'm going to make sure that everybody knows you're a slave. I'm going to make a slash in your ear that everybody would know that you deliberately stole in order to become a slave. And then the Ben Ish Chai says to that, according to that, it says, Yesod gadol v'chashuv. It's a tremendous rule. And the Ben Ish Chai says, Adam zeh, this person, shelo bachar b'chirot. He didn't want to make decisions. He took the biggest gift that God gave him to make a decision, to be able to choose. Ela ahav et ha'avdut. He loves slavery. צריך לרצוע לו את האוזן, you have to cut his ear, because כשבחר מרצון בעבדות של בשר ודם, when you chose deliberately to become a slave of a human, that's what we need to do. וכל שכן שיבחר להיות עבד ליצר הרע, because what you did so, because you became a slave to the יצר הרע. All this thing that we said before is because of the decision we deliberately wanted to make that avera. We deliberately wanted to steal and so on and so on. Why? Because we chose to go after our behemic issues. The Torah comes and is supposed to elevate us. And because when you did so, the Yetzer Hara, you started with the Yetzer Hara. And therefore the Yetzer Hara is going to make you violate the whole entire Torah. That's why we cut his ear, to awaken him for that. And that's what it is. When people come and tell me, Rabbi, I learn in Yeshiva all the time, I need some time to chill out. What do you mean to chill out? What are you going to do? You're going to get drunk? What are you going to do when you chill out? If you want to chill out, if you learn Gemara a lot and you burn and your head is already smoking, so take a midrash and read the midrash. It will revive you. Stay within the realm of Torah. What will happen if let's say you're married for 20 years? But tell your wife, listen, I was so dedicated for you for 20 years. Just give me a week and to go to Bahamas or whatever it is. Bahamas Mishon Behema. I want to become a beast for a little bit. Just a week of chilling out, honey. How about that? Or how about just a night on the town, without you? Wife, that was the 20 years and that will be it. Because I'm out of here, baby. What kind of a husband will do that? I would doubt his loyalty to begin with. That's the same thing to us. And that is Parashat Mishpatim. You need to reawaken your internal balance, which was disturbed because you chose to let your guard off and to be carried away by your Yetzer Hara that makes you do those Averot. Those Averot are disconnection from God. When you do the Averah, at that moment you say, God does not exist. And for that you got to pay. So either you make tshuva, or before that, balance yourself all the time. Go by the laws. Go by the Mishpatim. You don't know what to do, ask a rabbi. Learn the halakha. And if you really see that you're overwhelmed with the Yetzer Hara, mashcheu lebet midrash, come and learn in the Bet Midrash. And doesn't ever shoot here. And here it does not exist. You come to Bet Midrash, you reconnect with Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.